Hey everyone, welcome to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
Fuego here.
Back with a very special review for you guys this week. Fuego, what are we going to be talking about?
Dude, we're talking Gerald's Game. That's right, the long-anticipated, allegedly unfilmable incarnation of a Stephen King book that I think he did in, it was like 92, 94, early 90s, after the dude got sober, and he was writing as a woman for like this weird stretch of time between that, Rose Madder, and a few others. But this is one that people were intrigued by, most notably because of the director Mike Flanagan, that I know that you enjoy.
Yes, definitely so. My first exposure to Mike Flanagan was, as far as I know, the movie Absentia, which was fantastic. It featured Doug Jones. Yep, one of our earliest reviews on the channel. Definitely a season 1 review. But yeah, I love that movie. I thought Oculus was pretty good. I liked Hush a lot.
People have talked a lot of smack about Before I Wake, and I haven't seen it, so
I haven't seen that yet. Was that him too?
That was him too. That was like Thomas Jane.
Where the kid was falling asleep?
I think so, yeah.
No, I saw a trailer for that once upon a time, and then the movie just never came out.
Yeah, well, I mean, Hush and the prequel to Ouija,
I need to watch that if Before I Wake is his, because I've been wanting to watch that.
Both of those were great. So.
Damn. So here we are, ready to talk about Gerald's Game, which is his version of a Stephen King property. And the way that this is going to go down, guys, is Fuego has obviously read the story. I have not, and so you're going to get both sides of the spectrum through this review. And so let's do it like we normally do. We'll talk about our overall thoughts, then we'll talk about the story, the acting, the effects, all that good stuff. So first off, I'll say that honestly, I enjoy it more and more the more time passes that I think about it.
Yeah.
When I first watched it, I thought it was good. I thought it was good. But the more I've thought about it, I was like, man, that was really impressive what Flanagan was able to pull off with this movie. I mean, it was about an hour and 43 minutes, but it was... I never felt the length of it, although I was worried I was going to.
I felt
towards
it in
the beginning.
Tail end.
Okay.
Yeah, the last like 15-20 minutes, just like I did in the book, because there's a little subplot that manifests itself.
The last 15-20 minutes, I was totally on board.
Really?
I liked it.
Okay.
I dug the movie. I was really happy with it. Fuego?
No, I loved it. I think this stands up there with Misery and Dolores Claiborne as two of the best female, well, three in this incarnation, of the best female-driven Stephen King stuff that he's ever written. And I really feel like it was adapted masterfully. I mean, even the opening shot, that was like the above of when they're packing everything and they're like putting the cuffs in and everything. It just really, there was something grim about, and there was something almost ominous about the packing factor and stuff. And I mean, Mike Flanagan, man, you cannot go wrong. Thank you for liking my tweet, by the way, homeboy.
He's very good at setting up tension, slowly building.
Yes, exactly. And he did a masterful job in this. If we're going to jump in the story, which since I've read the book and stuff, I guess I'll take it away. So we basically meet a couple in a couple in the midst of a troubled marriage.
Married couple, right?
Yes, exactly. And so they've been married for a number of years, and the spark is no longer there, and they're trying to spice things up. He is a lawyer. She was formerly a part-time teacher, but at this point we are given no indication, at least in the film, she's even working anymore. That's what you need to read the book for, damn it. But nonetheless, in the book, he is actually portrayed as much more of a, I don't want to say nihilistic, but a much more vile character.
Okay.
They actually portray him as more of a bastard in the book, whereas in this one, he doesn't seem like he's that bad of a guy. He's just like, I don't know, kind of kinky. He wants to spice some things up, and he has I don't know the name of the actor. That's what's killing me. But he was the president in 13 Days. He was the president in the most recent incarnation of The Kingsman and many other things. So he's been royalty. He's a good-looking older dude.
I want to say Bruce something.
But... Yeah. But you also have, pronounce me right, Gugino?
Yep, Carla
Yes,
Gugino.
Carla Gugino, and I still messed up. Carla Gugino. I will never forget her from Sin City. I'm sorry, I'm the red-blooded
Watchmen,
man. Damn it!
also.
Yes,
She
exactly.
was great in Watchmen.
Yeah, that's right. She was the
older
the
version
mother
of
mother of Jupiter something, right?
Jupiter girl, Saturn girl. I can't remember.
Saturn girl, something
no,
like
not
that.
Saturn girl. That's the Legion.
Yeah.
No, I
Anyway.
can't remember the character. I haven't watched it in a long time.
Neither have I, but not that important in the grand scheme of things. She's a hell of an actress, and she was given a massive load on her shoulders, hey Table Cat, to just bring this all to life, because that was one of the things that made people think this was an unfilmable book, because there was so much internalization. After this lady has her husband, you know, as we mentioned earlier, they're getting kinky, you know, the handcuffs and stuff. He falls over, he dies. You know, we're not going to give any specific details, and she's still cuffed in the middle of nowhere to this bed. And so what is she going to do? Well, that's what basically makes up the predominance of this story. And so what a predicament to find yourself in. Even thinking about it right now, I would not want to find myself there.
It was rough, and honestly, it's funny because they addressed pretty quickly that it's not as easy as it is in the movies to slip out of handcuffs. You can't just dislodge your thumb or break your wrist and get out. Like, if your hand won't fit through the cuff, your hand won't fit through the cuff.
Yeah, and him being a lawyer, it's like he has legitimate handcuffs. We're not talking like the play stuff that you find at the gag store or whatever. You know, we're talking, I don't know, military, but at least like, you know, law officer style and on-point cuffs.
So then the story is all about what does she do when she's left there, staring at sort of the arms and top part of the head of her now dead husband.
Yep, who's off the bed
and watching unfortunate things unfold in front of her as she loses more and more strength.
Yeah. If you've read the book, you know we're not going to spoil that particular aspect.
It's a time clock kind of movie.
Yeah, it happens early on.
But I think it's good to dive into the acting at this point.
Yes.
And honestly, Carla Gugino, she was so good. Because while she's there, she starts to go a little crazy and starts to see things, and she sees herself that she speaks to, and then she sees her dead husband that she speaks to, sort of playing the yin and yang, or yin and yang of the sides of her personality that are warring about surviving versus giving up.
Yeah, which is a little bit different. If we're gonna,
we can't spoil too much. We will spoil at the end, but for right now, we're staying away.
Yeah, and I can at least say that in the book, it's different. People she knows, you know, there's like a therapist, and then there's a friend from high school
that she sees.
College that that manifest themselves and give her this advice and coach her through the process. In contrast with in this, where it's almost like, you know, her inner whatever. So,
but did you think it worked this way?
I did.
I thought from what you described from the book, the therapist, the roommate and stuff,
through the entire process.
but it felt like this was a streamlined version of it.
It was.
She represented all of them. He represented the bad side of herself that wanted to give up. I thought it was super streamlined and really effective.
Very effective, in fact. And this is one of the instances where people can bitch about, it's not, you know, it's not the book or whatever, but this is one of the key instances where when you change things, it's actually for the better in certain instances, man. And I felt like in a lot of ways it was also an interpretation as opposed to an adaptation. And I'm blue in the face about saying this, but you know, man, I mean, I actually think that sometimes you have to change things for the screen to make things fit a little better, and this did a damn good job.
Definitely. And I will say that not only did Gugino do a great job, which she did because she got to play sort of two versions of herself almost all the way through the movie, which was great. You could, and honestly, that leads to I do want to talk about makeup in this movie because I thought that was super effective.
Yes, indeed.
But I gotta say that the husband was amazing as an actor too.
Which is what's funny because he had donuts in the book.
Oh man, I
there was
love
no role
that
whatsoever for him.
But it was
And
so good. It was so much for him to
did.
chew on
and
in
it
this
gave
movie.
backstory to the stuff that in the preliminary process they didn't really.
And it was effectively unnerving. Sorry, they didn't really what? I didn't mean to cut off your thought.
Well, no, they didn't really give you any of that, backstory whatsoever. They didn't indicate, entail, reveal, whatever you want to say. They just basically got to this place, and
but I thought it was really effective the way they did that, though.
It actually was, and some of the facts that he wasn't, book proper as far as being this, ill health lawyer,
And he was actually the picture of health, but
yeah, he was actually a good looking dude, and that was one of my main problems with the trailer, but they did it so well that it really didn't even end up mattering in the long process.
But his acting was amazing. I mean, even when it was just him, like, as the character before he dies, which is in the trailer, so we're not giving away anything there. He does die. Yeah. But there's stuff they didn't show you in the trailer. It was really good. And then when he shows up to sort of try and talk her out of getting out of it, you know, it's really good stuff. But he finds out stuff along the way too. There's a moment where he's like, wait, what happened?
Oh,
it's really interesting.
That's actually one of the biggest
leads into another actor that is worth mentioning, which is someone that played her father.
Oh, is it? I actually recognized the guy, but I did not. So there's.
I'm just saying the acting was he was super effectively angering.
Oh my lord! So there is a pivotal flashback factor in this particular book, and in 1992, if I'm remembering my years correctly, Stephen King put this out, and then he put Dolores Claiborne out.
Right.
And they both stories have flashbacks to a total eclipse that took place in the 60s, 1962 or 63, I can't recall that high table cat. But so yeah, there is a connection between the two, and it's almost like a otherworldly. I mean, the only supernatural thing in both of the books is the fact that both of these girls can see each other when there's something going on with a particular parental figure, and so yeah, it's just it's very cool and yet very scary and creepy in the way that they put it out. They softened it for this film, which I'm honestly glad that they did.
It was still appropriately tough to watch.
Oh my lord, it's so much
Which
worse
again
than the
speaks
book,
to the acting.
Yeah,
it does speak to the acting.
Yeah,
of the little girl too, the little girl version of Carla Gugino's character.
Super pretty and
whoa, careful! Not what I was going for.
No,
I meant good actors. Good actors.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, not like that, but to the creepy factor where she's at that age where the father is and now I'm revealing
it's okay, it's all right.
You know?
No, you're not revealing too much. It's cool. Yeah. They're still gonna watch this, but let's move into I guess we should move into the effects because there was
want to talk about just what she looks like near the tail end of being chained.
Well, the effects. I'm gonna say the makeup and possible practical effects, because there were some. I mean, that's all part of the practical effects.
Honestly,
her makeup, as she goes through time, they do good with the makeup of making her look like she's been there for a day, a day and a half,
the chart of lips and stuff.
The chart of lips, the dehydration, the stringy hair. That's not easy to replicate without having a girl not treat her hair for 3 days and stuff. But then there's also the version of her she's talking to, which is her idealized version of herself.
The one that's actually talking to her.
The one that's talking to her and encouraging her. That version of her is still all done up and pretty. Very much so. Yeah, it was, the makeup was really, really cool. And then of course the makeup on Gerald, when we finally see him later on, he is decomposing already.
Yeah,
and
they kind of took it easy on him though, with the pieces of flesh being torn off.
Well, I don't know about that.
Maybe a little bit compared to the book. I mean,
it'll be enough for people. I mean, a lot of it was sound driven, and that's what I was gonna say. The sound design in the movie was really good. The crunching, the ripping, the rending of flesh from the dog. Man. It was really good.
Dude, they amped the dog up in this compared to the book.
Really?
They did.
It was really cool because it was this horrible. It was so effective because the dog was this looming presence.
Yeah, and the fact
always looming until it's scared away by something even worse,
even bigger, and
which
that
is
was
cool.
Yeah, and that's actually.
Let's not reveal anything about it, but go ahead.
Can't, but it's an aspect of the story that when I was rereading the book, and you guys can see on Hail to Stephen King, the retro review that I did, which was basically a book review / preview for the film. I was curious if Flanagan was even going to go into this, and he did.
He did.
Yeah, which was cool. And man, the actor that he brought in for this, holy smokes! I keep thinking that I saw him on like Star Trek: The Next Generation or something.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not 100%. I mean, basically, there is somebody else who is there, and you wonder. And damn it, I guess that's a mild spoiler. You wonder if somebody is there. Are they there? Maybe.
Yeah, she starts to hallucinate, and so you don't know exactly what's real.
All this stuff.
So, without spoiling anything else until we get into the spoiler section, overall, again, we very much recommend this movie. I think,
indeed.
So
it's actually one of the best King adaptations. Maybe, it was really good as far as. I
like it more.
Do you?
As a horror fan, as an It fan, as a clown fan, as a child actor fan.
And I'm not trying to say this is a better film.
No, but this is definitely one of the top adaptations of Stephen King material. I have every one.
Yeah.
I have every one. I would definitely say this is in the top 5.
It's going to go down in the pantheon, especially as far as faithfully adapting stuff and being
being an
really
effective movie as well.
Yes, very much so. And
satisfying too. Satisfying.
Indeed, because the scenario alone is one where people are just like, holy smokes, what the hell would I do? And they would think, oh, that's a Stephen King thing? And, man, this is going to just take its place, man, properly, too. Yeah.
It is. So that's going to do it for the non-spoiler section, you guys. Now we're going to jump into the spoiler section real quick. Let me just see how much we have. The cat has been rubbing on this thing for a minute, so the audio should be fun.
She's enjoying herself.
Okay, we have about 8 minutes to talk about spoilers here, so let's jump into it. Guys, if you haven't seen it yet and you don't want it spoiled,
turn away.
Turn away and then come back after you watch it. It's available on Netflix. It's very much worth your time. We have someone else that's walking away so that she's not spoiled, but...
sorry,
but yeah, so... this
I have to say,
go ahead. What do you want to spoil first?
Foremost, I'm glad they toned down the father stuff. Seriously, because in the book,
he jerks off with her on his lap.
In the book, he
rubs against her.
He rubs against her, and she's got it all on her pants, and it's disgusting. And she's like wanting to wash her stuff, and yet they captured so masterfully the scene where he goes in there and manipulates her.
Where that's the worst.
Where he's like, I think we need to tell mom, and then she's like, no, we can't tell mom, and he basically turns
everything on her.
Such a just
douche
sickeningly smart bastard, man. I mean, that was the one bit that I was happy that not happy. I was relieved, I guess is the proper word, that they didn't go into the book form of it, but just, man, they at least made you hate that guy and made you just, I don't know. I mean, if anything, the girl didn't seem quite as conniving as she is in the book, because in the book, she manipulates the mother to get alone time with the father. She is very much a daddy's girl, and but she doesn't expect something so horrible to happen.
Well, this was still really well done.
Yeah, it was. And actually, for effects, the one thing we didn't mention is I thought it looked great when they did that scene, or like multiple bits of scenes with the
again, I did like the effects, the gore effects, and the one I was referring to is when she not only slits her own wrist, but slits up her palm so that when she gets to get out of the freaking club, or to get out of the cuff, she degloves herself, essentially. She literally pulls the skin off of her hand until it's through, and then it flops like halfway back down. Oh my god, it was so hard to
it
watch.
Was like flesh and bone. And
oh my god.
Man. I cringed.
You saw tendons and muscle and
I cringed.
That effect was so good.
Although in the later scenes it looked like she was just back to a regular bloody hand. But, nonetheless.
Well, she wrapped it in maxi pads.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
I thought that was effective use of maxi pads. But no, the degloving scene was horrifying.
Yes, it was.
And then she still had to figure out, like, she had to try and use the phone with only one hand, and then try and move the whole bed.
She was grabbing with
her
foot.
She couldn't use her hand because she pulled the tendons and the nerves away and stuff.
Yeah, because
so
the
she
other
couldn't
hand,
barely.
The other hand was still chained up, and so.
Yeah, she literally couldn't hold the handcuff key. She had to put it in her mouth in order to unlock her cuffs. Oh my god, it was so intense. And then when she's driving away,
pivotal scene in the movie.
When she's driving away, she's passing out as she's driving.
Oh yeah.
And then we get another flashback, right? She has one more little flashback,
which is actually right out of the book. In the book, when she is driving, she thinks the guy is in the back seat.
Oh, we got to talk about the moon man.
Yes, we
have
to.
Oh my god, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So
she thought he was imaginary the entire time, and that's what she was
imaginary, otherwise known as
imaginary. The imaginary.
So yeah, the thing that he was alluding to during the non-spoiler section is the first night when she thinks she's hallucinating, she sees what she thinks is the Moon Man.
Yeah,
and it's this huge dude, and there's this bloody footprints, someone walked through the crime scene. But he's there, and he shows her his bag of trinkets.
Yes,
and she's
like a bag made of human flesh.
Made of human flesh with all this weird stuff inside and jewelry and things. Yeah. And she doesn't know if she imagined it or not. And you're with her. You're you don't know if she imagined it or not either.
Which was
and then when she gets out. When she gets out, she's leaving. She gets out on the second night when basically her dead husband has been promising her he's coming back to get you tonight. He's coming back to get you tonight.
Yeah, he's almost warding her on.
Yeah, and so she gets out, and as she's leaving, he's there. The Moon Man is back, and she walks up to him and just pulls off her wedding ring and gives it to him and leaves after saying, you're not real. You're not real. Yeah. You're made of moonlight. You're just made of moonlight. And then she gives him the ring and leaves. And then later on, we find out that it was actually real after she's escaped, after she survived her car wreck.
You see, this is where it's funny. Where I initially had a problem with that change, but as you said, the more you thought about it,
I just dug it. It was more satisfying. Because she went to the arraignment where he was being sentenced for everything that he had done. And when she walks up to him, he turns around and he recognizes her. And he's like, "You're not real. You're made of moonlight." Yeah. He was saying the same stuff she said to him that night. It was so cool. A lot of people might not like that they said flat out that the Moon Man was real. Yeah. I think a lot of people would have liked that to have been left ambiguous. However, as someone that likes answers, I love the fact that it was actually real. I thought that was good. And if you noticed when she left, she walks out into the sunlight, and if you see the moon is moving away from the sun, the eclipse is clearing, the day is clearing, her life is clearing.
That's a
little on the nose at times.
Yeah, maybe, but honestly, I like that type of stuff, and that's props to Flanagan for giving those little just nuances that kind of drive the story forward.
But it was very satisfying and very good to watch.
Yeah. So as far as adaptations go, man, this despite a few alterations, I think was spot the frig on, man. I mean, it was something that everybody thought could not be made into a film, and the more you think about it, especially with the way they adapted it here. Why was there so much apprehension for so many years?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, they altered a few things. She's internalizing.
It might have just taken a mind like Flanagan to really pull it off, because I thought he did an excellent an excellent job, honestly, getting the ideas across.
Hi, Rob.
I loved it. I thought it was an excellent movie.
Yeah, it's right up there with me with any female-driven bit. Where's Rose Madder now? Damn it, I need Rose Madder.
Well, we need a new Dolores Claiborne, too.
You didn't like that?
I haven't seen it.
How can you pronounce Judgment?
I'm just saying we need a new one.
I don't think so. The original's really good.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, Kathy
we don't
Bates,
need
bro.
a new
She
one.
was nominated.
Did you notice the well reference though in this?
I did, and that's the funny thing. And thank you for reminding me.
Yeah,
And
hit the references.
Yeah. So.
Oh, because we didn't mention the beam either.
Well, we joked about it in the
the
earlier
live stream, but
portion
we
of
said
the-
we'd talk about it here.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, there are 2 different girls molested by fathers in Stephen King books that were released in 1992. One was Dolores Claiborne, the other was Gerald's Game. One guy gets away, which is Gerald's Game, and the other guy ends up getting killed and thrown into a well. And that is what happens with Kathy Bates' character. And so it's actually very interesting because they really hit it on the nose in this, where in the book, Jesse's character almost like envisions and sees the other girl who's in the midst of peril, and whereas in this, the film version, she almost envisions herself in the well, if I remember correctly. Like she's down there, suffering and, has been tossed down. And so, damn, it's really a nasty subject matter that I don't even like dwelling upon, but that was the connecting tissue between both of those Stephen King books in 1992. So both were daughters being taken advantage of by their fathers, and both happened at the same time, and it's either 62 or 63, I can't recall, but the same eclipse, basically the same kind of ill behavior was happening at the same time.
And then something happened with
connection.
Gerald too, right? He said a line that was a reference to...
Oh, well, there were a few different lines. He was talking about all things sort of the beam. He mentioned Cujo. So there were some little Easter eggs of sorts that weren't in the book. And, I mean, they were fun, but they weren't necessary. So, yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for our review of Gerald's Game, guys. We got to cut it off now. Thank you very much for joining us. Let us know in the comments down below. If you haven't seen it yet, are you going to watch it? Especially after having it spoiled. But if you have seen it, what do you think? Let us know. Let's get a conversation going. So, thanks again for watching. I've been Cecil Laird.
Gracias a Jaime Fuego.
And remember, stay scared.